It was a Saturday morning when my phone buzzed. I was half asleep, hair messy, coffee brewing. I picked it up expecting a "good morning" from Mom. Instead, the screen showed 12 words that split my world in half. Don't call or visit again. We're done. Don't contact me anymore. If you have not subscribed to our YouTube channel, please subscribe now. Also, let me know where you are watching from in the comments section. I stared at the message, reading it over and over. At first, I thought it was a joke. Maybe she meant to text someone else. But when I called, it went straight to voicemail. My heart started racing. I texted back, "Mom? What's going on?" No reply. I tried again. Still nothing. By noon, she had blocked me on everything: phone, email, even social media. I sat there, frozen, my coffee gone cold. My own mother had just erased me. I didn't understand what I'd done wrong. The silence around me felt heavy, like it was pressing on my chest. That night, I couldn't sleep. Her words kept echoing in my head, "We're done." I didn't know it then, but those 12 words were the start of a $42,000 lesson I would never forget. The next morning, I woke up hoping it had all been a bad dream. I checked my phone again, no messages, no missed calls. Just emptiness. I tried calling my aunt, who usually knew everything before anyone else. She didn't answer. I left a voicemail, then another. Hours passed. Nothing. It was like someone had pressed mute on my whole family. By the third day, I realized this wasn't a mistake. They were all avoiding me. Every call went straight to voicemail. My cousins stopped liking my posts online. Even my childhood friend, who lived next door to Mom, wouldn't pick up. I kept wondering what I'd done wrong. Did I say something? Did I forget her birthday? The silence hurt more than the text. It was a quiet kind of cruelty. At night, I scrolled through old photos, birthdays, holidays, dinners, her arm around me, smiling. It all looked fake now. I tried to tell myself there had to be a reason. But deep down, I knew something darker was going on. And soon, I'd find out just how deep the betrayal really went. A week after Mom's message, I got a letter in the mail. It wasn't from her, it was from a bank I'd never heard of. The envelope said, "Final notice." Inside was a bill for $42,000. My name was printed in bold at the top, Paula Derek. At first, I laughed. This had to be a mistake. I had never borrowed that kind of money. I called the bank, ready to clear things up. The woman on the line sounded bored until she read my file. Then she said, "Miss Derek, this is a signed loan under your name. We've been trying to reach you for months." My stomach dropped. She emailed me the documents, and there it was. My name. My signature. My address. Except I hadn't signed anything. When I saw my mother's handwriting on one of the forms, my hand started shaking. I remembered the time she'd asked me for a few documents to help with family paperwork. That night, I sat staring at the $42,000 debt on my kitchen table. It hit me like a wave. Mom hadn't just blocked me, she had set me up. The next morning, I drove to the bank with the papers in my hand. My stomach twisted the whole way there. The manager met me in a small office and flipped through the pages. When he looked up, his face turned serious. "This loan was opened 2 years ago," he said. "Your mother was the co-signer." I felt my heart crack. 2 years ago, Mom told me she'd started a college fund in my name, just in case I wanted to go back to school. She said she'd handle the paperwork. I never saw any documents, but I trusted her. Now, I realized that college fund was a lie. She had used my name to take a loan for herself, vacations, furniture, shopping, everything. And she never paid it back. I left the bank in a daze. My hands were shaking so badly that I dropped my keys twice before starting my car. It was raining hard, and I could barely see through the windshield. I thought mothers were supposed to protect their children. Mine had just sold me out for $42,000. That was the moment something inside me broke, and something stronger began to grow. For days, I couldn't stop crying. I barely ate. I barely slept. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her face, my mom, smiling like nothing was wrong. I kept replaying everything in my head. Trust me, every time she said, family comes first. I realized that while I was saving money, she was spending in my name. I was the one left holding the bill. When the collection calls started, I knew it was real. I told them I didn't sign anything, but they didn't care. It's your name on the loan, they said. I sat on the floor of my apartment surrounded by papers, bills, and old pictures of her. I tore one in half. It felt wrong, but also freeing. That night, I screamed into my pillow until my voice was gone. I didn't want revenge yet. I just wanted to understand why. But then, between tears, I remembered something, a small wooden box my mom kept hidden in her old dresser. She once told me never to touch it. I decided I would. Because if she could lie to me this easily, I needed to know what else she was hiding. A week later, I drove to Mom's old house while she was at work. My hands trembled as I used the spare key I still had. The house smelled the same, vanilla candles and her favorite perfume, but it felt colder now. I went straight to her bedroom. The wooden box was still there, tucked under a pile of scarves. My heart pounded as I lifted the lid. Inside were papers, photos, and a small envelope with my name on it. It wasn't a letter to me, it was one from a bank. Dated almost 3 years ago. It said, loan approval confirmed. Cosigner, Paula Derek. There were also receipts, hotel stays, jewelry, and online orders, all tied to that same account. She had used the money to live large while telling me she was barely getting by. At the bottom of the box, I found one more thing, a handwritten note to herself. It said, if Paula ever finds out, say it was for her future. My knees gave out. I sat on the floor, clutching the letter, shaking. My mother didn't just betray me. She planned it. The next morning, I took all the papers to a small law office downtown. The sign outside said, Harlan and Company. Legal Services. Inside, everything smelled like old books and coffee. A woman named Ms. Riley greeted me. She looked kind, maybe in her 40s, with glasses and a calm voice. I told her everything, the text, the silence, the fake loan, the letter I'd found. I expected her to stop me halfway, to tell me there was nothing she could do. But she didn't. She listened carefully, taking notes. When I was done, she said softly, Paula, this is identity fraud. Even if it's your mother, it's still a crime. Her words hit hard. A crime. I'd been calling it a mistake, a misunderstanding, anything but that. Ms. Riley said she could help me build a case, but I'd need solid proof, signatures, messages, and a witness. If she forged your name, she said, we'll find it. When I left her office, I felt lighter. Not happy, but focused. For the first time since Mom's text, I wasn't crying. I had a direction. If Mom wanted to teach me a lesson, she was about to learn one too. A few days later, I got a message from my cousin Nora. She said, can we talk? But not on the phone. We met that night at a quiet cafe near the edge of town. She looked nervous, like someone carrying a secret too heavy to hold. She leaned in and whispered, your mom told everyone you were the one who took the money. I froze. What? She said you stole from her and that's why she cut you off, Nora continued. But I didn't believe her. Then I overheard her talking to Aunt May one night. She said, Paula will never find out what I did. She's too trusting. My stomach twisted. I felt sick. Nora looked guilty as she slid a small voice recorder across the table. I recorded part of it. I thought you might need proof someday. When I pressed play, I heard my mother's voice, clear and cold. If Paula asks questions, I'll say she signed it herself. She never reads what she signs anyway. My hands went cold. That was the moment I stopped asking why she did it, and started planning what I would do next. After meeting Nora, I went straight home and spread everything out on my table, the loan papers, the receipts, the letter, and now the recording. My kitchen looked like a detective's office from a TV show. I listened to Mom's voice over and over again. Each word felt like another knife. But I also felt something new, strength. For the first time, I wasn't scared of her anymore. I scanned every document and saved digital copies in a hidden folder. Ms. Riley, the lawyer, said I needed a timeline. Proof that I didn't know about the loan until after the text message. So I gathered emails, pay stubs, and text logs. That night, I found something else, a screenshot of an old text from Mom. Send me your ID, sweetie. I needed to open a savings account for you. Back then, I thought nothing of it. Now it was the missing puzzle piece. By midnight, my evidence folder was ready. I stared at the screen, my reflection faint in the glass. For months, she'd played me like a fool. Now I had everything I needed to turn the game around. The next morning, I sat on my balcony watching the sunrise. I hadn't slept at all, but my mind was sharp. The fear that once kept me quiet was gone. For weeks, I had begged for answers. I'd cried, blamed myself, and wished things could go back to normal. But now I understood, there was no normal to return to. My mother had chosen greed over love. I opened my laptop and wrote an email to Ms. Riley. I attached all the files, the recording, the papers, the screenshots. At the end, I typed, "I'm ready to move forward." Then I hit send. A strange calm came over me. I cleaned my apartment, threw away old letters, and boxed up every picture of Mom. It hurt, but it also felt like pulling thorns out of my heart. Later that night, Ms. Riley called. "This is enough to open a case," she said. "Are you sure you want to go through with it?" I looked at the empty wall where my family photos used to hang. "Yes," I said. "I'm done being her victim." That was the day I stopped surviving, and started fighting back. A week later, I drove to Mom's new house. My hands were steady this time. I wasn't there to cry, I was there to confront her. When she opened the door, her face froze. "What are you doing here?" she snapped. "I came for answers," I said quietly, pulling out a small recorder in my pocket. "Why did you take that loan in my name?" Her eyes narrowed. "You don't know what you're talking about." "I do," I replied. "I've seen the papers, Mom. I've heard the recording." For a moment, she said nothing. Then she laughed, that same fake laugh she used when she wanted to sound in control. "You think you can prove anything? You're just a child playing grown-up." I felt the heat rise in my chest. "Maybe. But I'm a child who knows the law now." Her smile faded. "You wouldn't dare." "I already did," I said, turning to leave. "The lawyer has everything." As I walked back to my car, she shouted after me, but I didn't turn around. I wasn't her scared little girl anymore. For the first time, I had power, and I wasn't giving it back. The day after I confronted her, Mom posted on social media. At first, I didn't plan to look, but curiosity won. Her post said, "Some people can't handle the truth. They lie, twist stories, and play the victim." So sad. The comments poured in. Neighbors, family friends, even my old teacher, all defending her. "Stay strong, you raised her right. She doesn't deserve you. She sounds ungrateful." I stared at the screen, shaking. She wasn't just denying it, she was mocking me publicly. Making me look like the villain in her story. Ms. Riley warned me this could happen. "When people like your mother lose control," she'd said, they fight dirty. Still, it hurt. It hurt more than I wanted to admit. For years, she taught me to care about what others thought. Now, she used that against me. I closed my laptop and took a deep breath. I wouldn't fight her online, not yet. My revenge wouldn't come from words. It would come from truth, and it would come quietly. Let her enjoy her lies for now, I thought. Because soon, everyone would see who she really was. 2 weeks later, a thick envelope arrived in my mailbox. My hands trembled as I opened it. Inside was a letter stamped with bold black letters, "Court Hearing Notice." It was real now. Ms. Riley had filed the case, Derek versus Derek. Mother versus daughter. Reading those words made my stomach twist. I never wanted it to come to this. But when I thought about the $42,000 debt, the lies, and her smug posts online, I knew it had to be done. I called Ms. Riley right away. "Is it really happening?" I asked. "Yes," she said calmly. "The hearing is scheduled for next month. She'll be served the notice soon." That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept picturing her face when she opened the envelope. Would she feel shock? Anger? Shame? Then I reminded myself. She'd chosen this path the moment she forged my name. Before going to bed, I whispered to myself, this isn't about revenge. It's about freedom. But deep down, I knew it was both. Mom had turned my life into a courtroom drama. Now, I would be the one to finish the story, on my own terms. 3 days later, Ms. Riley called. "The papers were served this morning," she said. I imagined the moment, Mom opening her door, seeing a stranger hand her a thick envelope with her name on it. For once, she couldn't block it, delete it, or twist it into another lie. That night, my phone buzzed. It was a new number. The message said, "How dare you humiliate me like this? After everything I did for you?" I stared at the screen, heart pounding. I almost replied, almost fell into the trap. But then I remembered Ms. Riley's words, never engage. Let the truth speak for you. So I deleted the message. No more arguing. No more begging. The next day, Mom posted again online, calling me ungrateful and lost. People commented, asking what I'd done. I didn't answer. Instead, I sent another file to Ms. Riley, screenshots, timestamps, every lie documented. Each time Mom tried to twist the story, I stayed silent. Each silence built my case stronger. For years, she controlled every conversation. Now, my silence was the loudest thing she'd ever hear. The hearing was only 2 weeks away. My nerves buzzed like electricity under my skin. Every night, I stayed up late going over notes with Ms. Riley. She helped me build the timeline, every text, every receipt, every lie. We practiced my statement over and over. "Keep your voice calm," she said. "Tell the truth, not the emotion." But it was hard. Every time I pictured Mom's face, the anger bubbled up again. She had stolen my trust, my money, and now she wanted to steal my peace too. Ms. Riley placed a hand on my shoulder. "Remember, Paula, the courtroom isn't about who yells louder. It's about who stands taller." Her words stuck with me. In the days that followed, I deleted all social media. I focused on myself, walking, journaling, breathing. Each day, I felt a little stronger. The night before the hearing, I stood in front of the mirror. For the first time in months, I didn't see a victim staring back. I saw someone who had survived, learned, and refused to break. Tomorrow, I would face my mother again, not as her daughter, but as her equal. The morning of the hearing felt unreal. The courthouse smelled like paper and polished floors. My hands were cold, but my mind was clear. Ms. Riley walked beside me, calm and steady. When we entered the courtroom, my heart almost stopped. Mom was already there, dressed neatly, smiling faintly like she was the one being wronged. She didn't look at me. Not once. The judge called the case. Derek versus Derek. Hearing our names said like that, like a battle line, made my stomach twist. Ms. Riley started with the facts. The forged signature, the loan documents, the recording. Every word was quiet but sharp. Mom's lawyer tried to object, saying there was no proof. Paula didn't agree. But then Ms. Riley played the voice clip. My mother's words filled the room. She never reads what she signs anyway. A hush fell. Even the judge raised an eyebrow. I looked at Mom then. Her smile had faded. For the first time, she looked small, like the truth was finally heavier than her lies. That's when I knew, I wasn't just defending myself. I was taking back my name. When it was Mom's turn to speak, she stood and fixed her hair like she was posing for a photo. Her voice was calm at first. Your Honor, she said, I only took that loan to help my daughter. She knew about it. She even thanked me once. I felt my throat tighten, but Ms. Riley gave me a small nod, stay still. Then it was my turn. The judge asked, Miss Derek, did you agree to co-sign this loan? I took a deep breath. No, sir. I trusted my mother with my personal papers. I didn't know she used them for a loan. Mom glared at me. You're lying, she shouted. The judge tapped his gavel for silence. Ms. Riley stood. Your Honor, I'd like to show Exhibit C, a text from the defendant asking for Paula's ID to open a savings account. The judge studied the message, then looked at Mom. That doesn't sound like consent. Mom's face turned pale. For the first time, she didn't have a comeback. As I stepped down from the stand, I felt the weight of years lift off my shoulders. Truth had finally started to speak louder than her voice. The hearing lasted 3 long hours. Every word felt like a drop of truth cutting through years of lies. When it was finally over, the judge sat back, hands folded, eyes thoughtful. He cleared his throat. I've reviewed the evidence carefully, he said. The forged signature, the financial records, and the recording all point to one conclusion. Mom stared straight ahead, her face blank. The court finds that Paula Derek is not responsible for the $42,000 loan, the judge continued. The documents were falsified by the defendant, Margaret Derek. Hearing my name beside hers felt strange, like we were two different worlds now. The judge's voice softened. Miss Derek, I suggest you seek restitution and counseling if needed. You've been wronged by someone meant to protect you. I nodded, my throat too tight to speak. Mom didn't look at me as the gavel came down. She just gathered her things, her hands trembling. For once, she had no power, no audience, just silence. As I stepped outside the courthouse, the sunlight hit my face. For the first time in months, I breathed without fear. The truth had set me free, and it had cost her everything. After the judgment, everything moved fast. The bank sent me a letter clearing my name. The debt was erased, and Mom was ordered to repay the full amount. News spread quickly in our small town. The same people who once called me ungrateful suddenly went quiet. Some sent awkward messages, we didn't know the full story, or, hope you're okay. I didn't answer any of them. I didn't need their sympathy now. Mom tried calling once. Her voice shook on the voicemail. Paula, we can fix this. We're family. Family. The word didn't sound the same anymore. I deleted the message without listening to the rest. For weeks, I avoided the places she used to go, the grocery store, the park, the cafe near the school. I needed distance, not drama. But even in the quiet, part of me still hurt. Revenge had brought justice, yes, but it couldn't erase the memories of the woman who once tucked me in at night. Still, as I folded the final court letter and placed it in a drawer, I whispered to myself. This is where her chapter ends, and mine begins. A month passed before I could finally breathe normally again. Some mornings, I still woke up expecting a text from her, an apology, a reason, something. But the phone stayed silent. I often found myself sitting by the window, thinking about everything that had happened. The lies, the loan, the court, it all felt like a storm I had barely survived. Yet somehow, I was still standing. I realized that revenge wasn't about destroying someone else. It was about reclaiming what they tried to take, my peace, my name, my future. Sometimes, I looked at old photos of us. In one, she's hugging me on my graduation day, smiling proudly. I used to think that picture meant love. Now I know it meant control. But I didn't hate her anymore. Hate was heavy, and I was tired of carrying it. Instead, I promised myself something new, that I would never become her. I'd build a life out of honesty, not secrets. As the sun set outside my window, I whispered, "Thank you for the lesson, Mom." Because in losing her, I finally found myself. Once the dust settled, I knew I couldn't stay stuck in the past. So, I started over, one small step at a time. I picked up extra shifts at work to rebuild my savings. The first time I deposited money into an account under my name, one only I could access, I smiled. It felt like taking back control of my own story. I moved into a new apartment, brighter and smaller, but peaceful. I filled it with plants, books, and sunlight, no ghosts of my old life hiding in the corners. Some nights, I still caught myself missing the idea of family. But I reminded myself that blood isn't the only thing that makes a family. Trust does. Ms. Riley became more than my lawyer. She became my mentor, even my friend. "You turned pain into power," she told me once. I didn't fully believe her yet, but I was trying. Every bill I paid on time, every document I signed with care, was a promise to myself. Never again would someone write my story for me. This time, the pen was in my own hand, and I wasn't letting go. It happened on an ordinary afternoon. I was at the grocery store, reaching for a carton of milk, when I heard a familiar voice behind me. "Paula." I froze. I didn't have to turn around to know it was her. My mother. When I finally faced her, she looked smaller somehow, older, tired. Her once perfect hair was streaked with gray. For a moment, I almost didn't recognize her. She gave a weak smile. "You look well," she said softly. I didn't answer. My heart was pounding, but not from fear this time. From strength. "I've been thinking about everything," she continued. "I made mistakes. I was desperate." I met her eyes. Desperate people ask for help. They don't destroy their children. Her lips trembled. "I lost everything, Paula." I nodded slowly. "So did I. But the difference is, I built mine back honestly." We stood there in silence for a few seconds, the air heavy between us. Then I turned and walked away. For the first time, I didn't look back. Some stories don't need forgiveness to end, just closure. After that day at the store, something inside me shifted. I didn't feel angry anymore, just free. The hate that used to burn in my chest had faded, replaced by a calm I hadn't known in years. I started going to therapy, like Ms. Riley suggested. At first, I didn't want to talk. But my therapist said something that stayed with me: healing isn't about forgetting what happened. It's about making peace with the truth. So, I began to talk. About the lies, the loss, the guilt. Every session felt like pulling a thorn out of an old wound. It hurt, but it also helped me breathe again. I also made new friends, people who saw me for who I was, not for my last name or my past. I even joined a small support group for victims of family fraud. Hearing other stories reminded me I wasn't alone. One evening, I walked by the river near my apartment. The water sparkled in the sunlight. I whispered to myself, I survived. For the first time, I believed it. The pain didn't own me anymore, I did. One quiet Sunday morning, I sat at my kitchen table with a cup of tea and an empty page. For weeks, my therapist had suggested I write a letter to my mother, not to send, but to release everything I'd been holding in. At first, I didn't know what to write. Then the words started to flow. Dear Mom. You taught me how to trust, and then you taught me what happens when that trust is broken. You took my name, my money, and my peace. But you didn't take my future. I used to want revenge. Now, I just want peace. I forgive you, not because you deserve it, but because I deserve to be free. I hope one day you face what you did, not in court, but in your own heart. Goodbye, Mom. Thank you for the $42,000 lesson. It was the most expensive, and most valuable, thing I've ever learned. Paula. When I finished, I folded the letter and placed it in a drawer. I didn't need to send it. The words weren't for her anymore. They were for me, the version of me that finally let go. It's been a year since everything happened. Sometimes, I still wake up and wonder if it was all a dream, the text, the trial, the truth. But then I see the framed court letter on my shelf, and I remember how far I've come. Life feels simple now. Peaceful. I work hard, pay my bills, and laugh more often. My circle is small, but it's honest. That's enough for me. People still ask if I ever talk to my mother again. I tell them no, and that I'm okay with that. Not all stories end with a reunion. Some end with growth. Looking back, I realized that $42,000 wasn't just a number. It was a price tag on a lesson I could have never learned any other way. It taught me that trust is a gift, not a guarantee. And that even the deepest wounds can turn into strength. If Mom's text ended our story, my reply wrote the beginning of a new one. Thanks for the $42,000 lesson, Mom. Because in losing her, I gained something priceless. Myself. If this story moved you, don't forget to like the video, subscribe for more powerful narratives, and share your thoughts in the comments. We'd love to hear what part hit you the hardest. Thanks for watching.